everyone for coming to our music faculty welcome performance. This is the first performance that the music department is sponsoring amongst many others this semester. We have pretty much every Wednesday filled up with something, whether it's faculty performances, student performances. We have some guest artists coming in. We also have a few workshops scheduled over the course of the semester, and of course, towards the end, all of our student ensembles, the vocal ensembles, the instrumental ensembles. So, thank you for coming to our very, very first one. I want to announce already that next week will be the first concert of student performances, so definitely come back, same room, same time, to see some of your peers play as well. So, we're getting started with solo cello. This is Professor Burkow, so please welcome.
This work is called Vermilion Suite, and it was actually written for me by the composer, who is a local New York composer called Peter Schickley. Some people may have some knowledge of him and his alter ego form, which is P.D.Q. Bach, the long-lost son of J.S. Bach, and he is a, in P.D.Q. Bach form, he's a musical comic. There was no P.D.Q. Bach. It's an invention of Peter Schickley's, and he writes music. P.D.Q. Bach, unlike his father, J.S. Bach, is a terrible composer. And so he writes all this music that is just filled with mistakes and horrendous things. But he also has a serious side to his composition, which is what this piece is. So his name is Peter Schickley. He actually knew my dad. And so this was kind of a gift they gave me, is this solo cello suite. It's called the Vermilion Suite because that happened to be my hometown that I grew up in, which was Vermilion, South Dakota. Which is right now under 2 feet of snow and probably about 20 below zero. So I dedicate this to them.
This is David Taubman, everybody. David and I have 3 songs for you written by William Bolcom. William Bolcom was born in 1938 in Seattle, and he was exposed to so many different types of popular music because he made some extra money by, even as a young boy, playing piano for touring vaudeville shows. All the different styles of music he was exposed to there. He was educated very formally. One of his teachers was Darius Milhaud, but he, in his composition, puts aside serious music. I hope I'm not putting things away that I should not be doing. Oh well, I'll put them all back. Anyway, these songs are called cabaret songs. Cabaret songs is a special type of musical expression using words and music to comment on goings-on in current situation without being too obvious about it. The genre rose up in between the wars in Germany when it was a tense political situation, and so I suppose one wouldn't want to get up and sing, "I hate Hitler." So cabaret songs would talk about criticisms that one might have about the government in a way that just seemed like fun and didn't seem too serious. These songs are in the cabaret style, and they talk about different personalities and characters and what their lives are like. 3 of our songs. See if these people remind you of anybody you know. He was always dressed in black, broad black jacket, big black hat, sometimes a cape, and as thin as rubber tape, black max. He would raise his big black hat to the big shots of the town, who'd raise their hats right back, never knew they were bowing to Black Max. I'm talking about night in Rotterdam, where the right night people from all the town would find what they could in the right neighborhood of Black Max. There were women in the windows with bodies for sale, dressed in curls like little girls in little dollhouse jails. When the women walked the streets with their beds upon their backs, who was lifting up his brim to them, Black Max. And there were looks for sale, the art of the smile. Only certain people walk that mystery mile. Artists, charlatans, vaudevillians, men of mathematics, acrobatics, and civilians. There was knitting needle music from the lady organ grinder with all her sons behind her. Marco, Vito, Benno, was he strong, though he walked like a woman. And Carlos, who was 5, he must be still alive. Ah, poor Marco caught the stiff, and if you didn't take the terrible cure those days, you went crazy, you died, and he did. And at the coffin, before they closed the lid, who raised his lid? Black Max. I was climbing on the train, one day going far away to the good old my friend George, used to say, just call me Georgia, hon, get yourself a drink. Sang the best soprano in our part of town. In beads, brocade, and pins, he sang if you happened in through the door, never locked, and said, get yourself a drink, and sang out loud while tears fell in the cognac and the chocolate milk and gin and on the beads, brocade, and pins. When strangers happen through the open door, George says, stay, but you gotta keep quiet while I sing, and then a minute after, and call me Georgia. One fine day, a stranger in a suit of navy blue took George's life. With a knife George had placed beside an apple pie he'd baked, and stabbed him in the middle of Un bel di vedremo, as he sang for that particular stranger who was in the United States Navy. The funeral was at the cocktail hour. We knew George would like it like that. Tears fell on the beads, brocade, and pins. In the coffin, which was white, because George was a virgin. Oh, call me Georgia, hon, get yourself a drink.
Okay, so you see the name of the piece is called Sanctuary, and basically what it is, it's I had a conversation with a colleague once about men and how all a guy really wants to do is just go home and sit in his chair, okay? And you can do all this complex stuff and all the above, but really all the guy wants to do is just go home and sit in his chair. And the chair is basically a metaphor. They just want to go do the final thing in their day and relax. And my final thing usually is to go home and sit in my guitar room, okay? And it's not always about going in there and sitting in there and playing, but it's just sometimes just being around it and sitting there with your eyes closed. Sometimes the music is just in your head. You don't really have to really touch your instrument, but just being around it in a room full of it can just put music in your head. And so that's the kind of thing that I go for, you know, when I'm playing and when I'm thinking about music. And my colleagues always get a kick out of the fact that I don't play guitar a lot, because I really don't play a lot, but I'm always thinking about it. And so when I'm driving, I'm like practicing in my head. When I'm grocery shopping, I'm grocery shopping. But when I'm playing guitar, there's always something different happening. And so what I choose to do is, you know, even though I teach audio engineering and sound design, the thing I like most is just really making music, however I do it. But the one thing about recording and, you know, recording music and doing that is whatever that performance is, that's what's being captured at that particular time. And so in the very early beginnings of recording, so when they would do ethnomusicology recordings out in the fields and, you know, listening to, you know, tribes, you know, Native Americans singing, it was a strange thing because that really wasn't the representation of that performance at the time. It was just an idea of it. And for those of us who actually practice for recording, you kind of know what I mean, because sometimes your practice is like the best you possibly could have gotten it right then. And then maybe when you performed, it could have been better. Or even when you performed live, it could have been much better. But sometimes that practice is the best you actually had it. And so what I'm doing today is completely a random thing with some form and order to it, okay? I thought I was going to do this on a computer, and then I decided that I actually just wanted to play guitar today, okay? So that's what I'm going to do for you. Because I do like to play guitar, it's true. I just don't do it a lot. For my guys here in the front, stop staring at my guitar. I know what you're doing. Okay, so that was fun. So that's all the fun stuff we have for you this semester. So come every Wednesday. Come listen to good, live, happy music played by happy live people.